Interesting. Hey, you guys. Welcome to Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. I know that I've not really been consistent for the last couple of weeks. And well, maybe life happens. So I sit in front of a computer screen for a long time every single day. That in and of itself can be extremely stressful, especially on these eyes. Because, I got aging eyes. I know that I look like 20 years old. I got it. It's either one of two things, Either I'm like a makeup guru in secret who really knows how to make herself look young, and that's how I look young, or got some good genes. Either way, these eyes, the strain and the struggle is real. Now, I do have these wonderful blue light filter glasses, and since nobody's sponsoring me to do anything with these, I won't tell you too much about them. But for those of you who have to sit in front of the computer who does do your work, because I'm a therapist, I conduct virtual therapy services in front of the computer screen at least about 9 hours of a day. Okay, and so trainings, workshops, all that stuff is also on a computer screen. That's not to add the ring light, the stress, reading, reports, notes. Man, it's a lot. It's stressful, you guys. So if you want to know why I've been inconsistent, that's one of the reasons. But more important, I have a family. I'm a mother, mother, spouse, friend, all those wonderful things. I have a lot of things, people, human beings, in real life that are constantly needing my attention. And sometimes I like to engage in human interaction. You know what I mean? But so there's that. I know you haven't seen me. And I know I typically do my shows on Monday nights. And today is Thursday. Happy Thursday to you. It is Thursday, right? Yep. Damn, Doc. But no, it's Thursday. I know it's Thursday. Happy Thursday to you guys. I hope that you are having an amazing day. Amazing into your week, if you will. But, I'd like to invite you guys in to have this discussion with me. Talk to me, share your thoughts and your reflections with me, and let me know kind of how you're feeling about people who live their lives in the public eye and how that impacts and drives these numbers up tremendously in the Black community of homicide and suicide. Kind of want to know how you guys feel about celebrity culture too. Got a lot on the noggin today. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the show intro. Why? Because it has all of these disclaimers and all that good stuff there. It'll allow me to kind of get these blue light filter glasses on so that, I can do this show and everything with you guys without harming the aging eyes or whatever. So there's that. I'll see you guys back in about 3 minutes. Hello, you guys. Welcome to Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. I'm your host, Dr. Jefferson, and today we're going to be talking about a lot of things, kind of like in a roundabout way. We're going to bring it all in so that we can have a comprehensive discussion about the way that people in distressing situations, as it relates to dating, connecting with human beings, or whatever, are led to non traditional alignments and how that is now kind of like today's thing. So, first thing is, I have kind of like tagged a couple of YouTube creators who I think contribute in a great way to the trend of those behaviors. And for good reason, I think that when people find you to be somebody that's entertaining on YouTube, and your content interesting, and then you have a following that's fairly large, I feel like that has a direct impact on the way that society shapes itself, the directionality of society's growth, where society goes. Whichever one you feel like resonates the most. Sorry, I'm opening something that I ordered from this website, some website, and I'm not quite sure what it is. Has anybody else noticed that like the delivery for things takes a really long time now all of a sudden? Or is it just me? Whatever. Anywho, there's that. Uh-oh. Pretty sure something is broken now. Whatever. Oh no. Anyway, let's see what this is. The first thing, my producer is sleeping. I'm gonna post it. First order of discussion is, who are the people that you admire the most? Typically, the people that we find the most admirable, the people that we find to be the most interesting, those content creators, the ones that I tagged, no matter how toxic they may be. Those people have a direct impact on the way that you see goals in life sometimes, I don't know why, but it's human nature kind of thing, right? We find people who impact us, and as a result, we shape our lives around the things that we see them do. So these content creators have a serious impact on the way that society sees modern day normative relationships and that sort of stuff. But we don't really look at everything that happens in these kinds of relationships and evaluate them with a very judgmental eye, because if we did, I think that some of these things that we invest in and some of the things that we divest in are those things would look a lot differently. Anyway, so who are some of the people that you find that you admire the most on and off the internet? And I want you guys to be pretty transparent when you sit with this video, because I know a lot of folks are at work. I'm not expecting a whole bunch of content interaction and that kind of stuff. And I think that's like a second reason why I chose to kind of jump in and do the show during the day. But if you ask yourself this question and you were extremely transparent with yourself and you didn't lie, nope, not at all, in answering it, you'd find that the people that you are admiring the most nowadays are not the people that human beings traditionally admired to the point that they shape their lives after them. The advice that you take from folks, and when you need an answer to a question, it's not the way that old school people used to do. They didn't go to the internet because they didn't have the internet, but also they wouldn't go to public figures. They wouldn't go to celebrities. They wouldn't be looking at how life should be lived from celebrities. They would be looking at local people that they deem to be successful, that are living a fairly good life, right? So, the people that you admire the most around the internet are the people who have the most impact when it comes to conditioning. I did a quick video yesterday or the day before yesterday. Do you remember which one? No, not really. I did a quick video on one of those days that kind of spoke to you guys reevaluating how you allow people and the content that you see in the news media, social media, whatever media, right? how you allow that stuff to filter through your understanding and perceptions of life, because essentially the way that we receive information has a lot to do with the way that we go out and we apply life skills, the way we move in life, the things that we do. Um, which is why I really don't understand why they have TV shows like How to Get Away with Murder on air. It's a little sketch, but whatever. Um, our influences are the things that we engage in. The things that we engage in have a lot to do with popularity and trending topics and ever growing social media influencers. Okay. So, the way that we are, and people who live their lives out on the internet, right? Some of these are reality stars. Those people impact the way that relationships between human beings develop. And modern day relationships are just not what they used to be traditionally, but otherwise they wouldn't be called modern day relationships. Come on, let's be serious and just, yeah. So that's that part. When we look at some of the things that we consider as goals in life today, right? Hold on, you guys. Are you just gonna like chill and not like you're not gonna click any indicators? Is that what we're doing today?
No, I'm just saying.
Ah,
I can't really click it because my thing won't go out.
I see.
I don't want to click the wrong
Do
thing.
y'all hear? Y'all hear my producer? He's just not gonna do anything because like he's not. His computer, his contraption isn't working.
It ain't like it
He doesn't want to get with modern day technology.
If I go here,
Yeah, whatever.
do that.
I got it. But so the things that we consider goals, the people who we consider and we shape our goals after are typically folks who are not necessarily living an authentic life on camera, on screen, whatever. Even if it's a YouTuber, people do things to prepare themselves for these visions, these tapings, if you will. And these things that they do in preparation buffer out the realities behind the screen. You see that, and I think that we found that to be true when we look at the realities behind the YouTuber couple who died by murder suicide just a couple of weeks ago. Um, and I think their daughter found them, right? That one that moved to Atlanta from St. Louis. And if you guys don't know, kind of go back and Google up the story. And I think I did a brief show on it too. So like go in history and like watch the videos and catch up and all that good stuff, you know. But we see that from situations like that where seemingly they have a large following, they're leading a great life. The woman in the couple, I think she had a salon as well. It's a couple of things that they were into. But they also had a YouTube channel, right? We see that with the TikTok moms that are murdered, and recently there was one murder. I think was it wasn't yesterday. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know. But yeah, we see that with the Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie situation. That's the most recent huge headliner, right? So we see these people's lives unfold and the realities of their lives unfold, and it looks a lot different than what we see in the pictures and the videos and the snippets that they share with us on screen. And even if we're seeing these things, I think that we are still telling ourselves that no, this is just a one-time situation. This is not something that happens. People are authentic, especially reality shows, all of this stuff. We see that with Whitney Houston. People would look in, peer in, and see that, okay, this woman is well together, well to do. She's got her things together, got great music, making strides in the industry. But behind closed doors, what's happening? Right? I could go on and on and on and on and on and on. However, DMX, K Quickly, and okay, so it's just too many people, okay, basically. But I think what that leads to is some level of curiosity, right? So the fans of these people get to a point where they're now kind of like borderline stalkerish. They do. And I can speak to that because even with my very small following on social media, that's about 50,000 large across all of the platforms, I've had to experience some serious level of stalkers. Just going to say what it is, right? And people feel like because you are living your life out on the internet, you just don't have a right to privacy. So that leads to us being in this space where folks are peering in even when you don't want them to peer in. And the other piece is there are several professionals, there are several professions in general that kind of pique curiosity of what your personal life might entail. Because I have people looking in on that end too. I've had clients that are just like they just want to know everything about you, right? Because they want to find out how relatable you are, essentially, you know, or at least you want to think that that's the reason that they're stalking you. Hmm, something to think about. But anyway, that's why I encourage other therapists, clinicians of all disciplines to place as much information as you can about yourself out there on these platforms that you can control because people are going to peer and they're going to pry anyway. Like, they're going to find out what they want to find out about you anyway, right? Like, hmm. People just outright nosy sometimes. But either way, I think you're entitled to whatever it is that you can access on the internet. And then you have to take whatever it is that you do access with a grain of salt. And there's that, okay? Um but I feel like the increase of the stalking behavior and to be honest, like when I think about it and here I am now kind of taking it back a bit. In the early 90s, we saw an increase of homicides that were related to public fame. And we're still seeing an increase in homicides that are like considered to be hate crimes and stuff like that. And I really hate the way that they are breaking these things down because when you break down the criminology, is that the right word? When you, huh?
It can be.
When you break down the types of crimes and stuff like that, I think that it makes things a little bit more complicated. You guys, the reflection in these things, though, like, they're great, but the reflection is hard if that's on your, yeah. But whatever. When you break down these crimes and you put them into little small pockets, it becomes a little bit more difficult to gauge what the real picture looks like, the clear picture. And so I think it's harder to gauge which things, if it's a hate crime, are related to a person's public persona. There are lots of people, if you look at the most horrific Hollywood deaths and things like that, there are a lot of folks that have died in Hollywood. And because they're considered to be a part of gruesome crimes or hate crimes, you just won't see that it's tied to their fame. However, I have to say, um, I think that when you live your life in the public eye, and I think the more people start to look at you and the more private you are, the more secretive you are, the more people are inclined to continue to violate that said privacy, and sometimes that leads to homicide and sometimes suicide. There is a tremendous amount of stress that comes along with watchful eyes being everywhere. It's enough that people are looking whenever you go out, right? It's a whole different level of discomfort when people are looking even when you're not out, and they're looking into you, and they're looking into you without your understanding and knowledge and things like that, not coming directly to you for information. So I think that when these YouTubers blow up out of nowhere and they got so many people judging them and what they do and what they say so harshly, I think it has the potential to impact them in a tremendously negative way. And sometimes even the positive content can cause relational distress. A lot of people at my office, I know we were sitting with, because that couple, the YouTube couple that committed murder suicide the other week, um, just before Thanksgiving. Their case was extremely interesting because they had moved to Atlanta, right? And so people think that moving to Atlanta is the move, or moving to Hollywood, right? It's the move. It means success. It marks success, especially when you're coming from some place like St. Louis. And that's nothing against folks that are from Missouri. You know what I just did? I realize. You guys know that I told you when people lead off or they say, okay, this is not meant to be offensive in these, but that's really not what I meant. I really do mean no harm to people from Missouri because, like, I don't know exactly what it is that you guys find to be great about your great state or whatever. I found it to be extremely cold, uncomfortable, and boring in the summers when I was there. You know, oh, it's a show me state. I'm sure it is. Show me something. But no, that's a whole other thing. But I think that when you move from a place that has very little bit going on and then you move to a city that's as busy as Atlanta, I think that that's a huge culture shocker. And life is different, right? So I think the pressures that come along with living in Atlanta, and then I think like the housing market is quite a bit more. You know, people moving from New York to Georgia, I think find some level of alleviation of financial distress. But if you're gonna move somewhere from like Missouri to Georgia, that's probably gonna be paying a lot more money. You're gonna get a lot less house, and you know, whatever, those things. But what I'm trying to say is that all of the stress that comes along with glow ups contribute to a lack of self-esteem, and that lack of self-esteem and security contributes to the homicide and suicide crisis that we are currently seeing spiral across America right now. And I think it's pretty prevalent, you know, and I think that we should be having a conversation about it because after you're seeing so many school shootings, like if you're not having this conversation, I'm asking the question, what's wrong with you? I'm the one now judging from afar and up close. All of that, all of it, all of it. Like, why would a 15-year-old kid just go and then shoot up the whole freaking school? And the crazy thing is that, okay, insane thing is that this is not the second school shooting of the year. It's not the, it's not the first, right? Most people are like, oh, it's not the first. No, it's not even the second, right? So the school year is just almost to the end of the semester, the first semester. What are we doing? So, what is that saying about the level of psychosis or the lack of parenting that is out there for these children? And what does it say? Like, I hear that the parents of this young man were called to the school prior to him engaging in the acts that led to the end of these many children's lives. What I think it's like, how many kids are dead now? 8, maybe? Correct me if I'm wrong, for those of you who are following the story. But yeah, that. And then we couple that with the school shooting in Texas. And we couple that with the massacre at the parade. And what is that word? I can't pronounce it. You know, the thing that I hate about the Michigan and Wisconsin area is that everything up there is like you can't pronounce it. It starts with a W. The guy, I think his name Daryl something, who killed all those people, ran them over with his mom's car. Those are a lot of things to happen in the course of a couple of weeks, you guys. These are just things that happened in the last couple of weeks. These are just the murder suicide with the YouTube couple. They say that woman killed the man and then she killed herself. Don't know how true that is, but that's what they're saying. Now, there's just so much. There's so much. And I think that the influence that influencers have on the, I guess the impact of the influence is what I'm trying to say. The impact of the influence on human beings and their conditioning and the way that they receive the world and the news media has a lot to do with the way that human beings go out and carry out the acts that we see happening in the world around us, right? If we look at Daryl, gosh, I really think, I hope his name really is Daryl, the guy from Wisconsin, whatever, that killed all the people at the parade. If we look at him and we look at the people that he targeted, to me, and I'm only on the outside looking in, it looks like he only killed white people. And then there were older white people.
They couldn't get out of the way.
Why? What's wrong with you? Who made you?
They couldn't get out of the way.
He said they couldn't get out of the way.
They couldn't get out
It's
of the way.
terrible. It's terrible.
And I don't know if we talking a mass group of people. It's hard to talk to race and make everything moving.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. And I was like, what's
You
what's wrong with this
you
list?
stand next to.
Yeah, because you're using your car to kill them,
I'm
right?
saying, that's why you flee the scene. You can't tell me you run next to. Not really gonna be.
Oh no, he wasn't fleeing the scene. He was murdering them with the car.
People that trying to get away. You can't tell me who you next to running from the guy who tried to hit you with the car.
That's true. That's true.
So I'm saying, how you gonna pick me from him and don't hit me and hit him? I'm telling right behind. How you do that?
Right. And then, one of the other questions that I had was, in that situation, like, was it really racially motivated? I mean, yeah, he's a black guy. Yeah, these are people that are white that happen to die. But is it really racially motivated, though?
That's why I say it's kind of hard to say that because in a mass of people fleeing, how you gonna? I can't say we're gonna make people running in the same area, the same direction.
Right.
You're not gonna pack up in races. All the whites go this way, all the blacks go that way.
And how do you choose how hard the impact is, how deadly the impact is with your vehicle if you're running them over with your vehicle? I don't know. I don't want to think too much into it because I just feel like sometimes the mindsets of people who are committing these crimes are in a completely different place. And it's one of the places that my mind just never frequents. But it's just so many levels to it. My question is, like, who is driving the processors, the centralized processors of people who are offenders in these heinous crimes? Even when we look at suicide, like what's motivating a lot of this behavior? And as a person who is a crisis clinician, like, for me, I get so many different stories. One of the prevalent stories that I get from people is that they hear voices or someone or God or whatever religious overarching theme they have. That religious theme led them to do the things that they found themselves engaging in, right? Yeah, there's that. But I want you guys to look at the way that the distress given or carried by people as a result of all of this social media influence and lack of privacy, right? The distress that comes along with that, right? What I want you guys to take away from this is that it influences the way that human beings go out and then react, right? And our responses aren't necessarily the most pragmatic when we're leading with our emotions. That's why it's called leading with your emotions. There's that, you know? But so I think that the more we look into the impact that is left on us as a result of kind of being exposed to these different social media influencers or video games or whatever it is that impacts you, the things that you consider goals, people and their lives that you consider goals on the screen, right? The more we sit with the way that shapes our mindset around whether or not we can achieve these goals and how attainable those goals are. And then as a result, our self-esteem when we don't find ourselves meeting or towing the line. I think we are closer to understanding why it is that there is such a significant shift in the way that we see dating, right? And so dating culture in America has shifted tremendously. I think that I've talked about this probably until we've been blue in the face. Like, talked about some of the influencers that I've tagged. Cynthia G is amongst them. Kevin Samuels is amongst them. Um, who else? Tanya TKO, Nyla Speaks. And one of the centralized things that I've kind of talked about is the way that Kevin Samuels, I don't know what's a good word for it, how he sums up the dating experience and the worth of women and men based off of what is now considered to be goals for an ideal partner. When we're looking about high value, the things that people now value in men and women. Now, I'll say this because somebody is going to watch this video and they're not going to be familiar with my content. And they're not going to be familiar with the way that I feel about any of these content creators. And you guys are going to feel like, okay, well, maybe she's biased or maybe she's not biased. I don't know what y'all are going to feel, but let me make this very clear. The content creators that I have highlighted, if you will, I'm definitely not a fan, not a supporter, any of that stuff, but they do make some very valid points. I'm one of those people who, when I disagree, I don't have to devalue you per se, right? And I don't devalue your perspectives, I'm a pragmatist. What can I say? Hey Darius, how are you? But so in saying that, what I'll say is this: Kevin Samuels has made several valid points around what it is that people, not just young people in America now consider to be high value in women and in men. For a very, very long time. And I think that, a lot of folks look at some of my content and you guys think that, I don't know, that I live in a shoe or in a box. I'm not honest about things. I'm disingenuous, but I'm not. I know that there are several people in the world who value traditional relationships and companionship, and they have a very realistic idea of what it will take to longitudinally survive in a healthy relationship. But I also know that there are some people that are heavily influenced by the things that I've talked about and aforementioned in this video. Okay. Now, the people who are influenced by the things that I've mentioned in this video in the beginning, I understand that the modern day and traditional relationship things are going to clash for you. I understand that you're going to value money over everything. MOE. Yeah, you guys, I'm kind of like in. But yeah, I know that you're going to value money in a relationship. I know that you're going to value sex in a relationship over companion. I get it. I get it. I get it. I hear you loud and clear. However, what I will say is this. Okay. I don't have any personal reflections on what you choose to do with your life. I'm only looking at what makes sense in the long run based off of what you folks tell me that you are looking for and you're looking forward to establishing as a vast majority of people. So the people who write into my show and ask me for relationship advice, you guys know that I'm very authentic. And the thing is, that's the type of therapist I am too. So the idea of not understanding the constructs that make relationships healthy versus the constructs that make relationships survive are for me, you can't compare the two. We can't make the argument. Okay. And I do understand both pretty intimately, but for the sake of discussion and kind of moving along in this conversation, I want to say this: there is a logical reason that the vast majority of these people nowadays in modern day dating divest from the idea of love and the development of true companionship and intimacy in relationship building. They value money and, to some level, sex and commitment. And I get that. The reason is because this world is shaped around you're winning or you're losing based on your financial status. So socioeconomics plays a huge role in whether or not people not only survive in life, because you need money, right? But also it plays a huge role in the way that other people see you, your peers. Social comparison theory, if you will. And so there's that part. Okay. Now, when I say, how do you guys feel about and what your thoughts are about escorts, I want you guys to be very honest in your response, okay? Because, like, escorts are regular schmegular girls like everybody else, but they are women who have learned in America, because it's not, the thing is, this has not been something that is new. When I say the reintroduction, right? It's rising again, okay? But sex has been a very lucrative area forever, since the beginning of man. Sex trafficking is a huge issue in the United States. If you don't believe it, just kind of look at your local news and see what they're reporting. Look at what, you know, freeways in Texas and in Florida right now are constantly busting sex trafficking rings, right? And that criminal activity that comes with it. So escorts are women and men who choose to be in relationships that are directly compensating them, whatever their asking price is, for whatever level of companionship that offers. Now, when I talked earlier about the fact that modern day people want to be in a relationship with a very clearly defined number or access to partners, right? People like to know what they're getting themselves into, because now relationships are looked at as, a negative investment. So men don't feel like they're getting a return on what it is they're buying into, and women don't feel like they're getting a return either. Oftentimes, one of the centralized complaints you get from modern day relationships once they fail is that this guy sat on the video game all day and he wasn't being compensated for video game play. And sometimes they are, because sometimes they're content creators and they're streaming or whatever. But what they're not doing is engaging in the process of building the relationship, intimacy with their partner. So they're having sex, but they're not building, right? And sometimes this leads to the woman feeling like now she has the overarching role of providing for her family system, which includes her man. And so when a woman starts to feel that way naturally, even though I know that these traditional women do not want to step in a role of barefoot, buck naked in the kitchen cooking, okay? The realities, though, are inside of the mind of a woman is a need to be taken care of. It's an innate need. It's very natural, just like the natural need of a man is to be respected. And both of these needs come with some basic constructs on the other side that have to be not only understood, but agreed to, and that other person is engaging in regular activity that supports the need for the other partner. Okay. So escorts are people with very clear boundaries, typically. Typically, these women would make an ideal mate for a man simply because these women typically are willing to put out as much sex as the man is asking for, as much attention as the man is asking for, and as much, and here's the key. This is where Kevin Samuels comes into play, and I know a lot of his followers are going to be like, yeah, she said it. No. Cooperation that the man is asking for. So based on the amount that you are compensating them, They typically render what it is that you're asking for, whatever that thing is. But once that compensation stops, so does that relationship. So I think that even though men are saying, okay, I'm going to get my bag up, I'm going to get my money up, right? And that's going to position me in a way that I'm going to be able to get the ideal type of woman that I'm looking for, even though you don't know that you're looking for an escort type woman. You're trying to buy her cooperation. You're trying to buy her provisions of sex. You're trying to buy her respect. And these are things that money cannot buy. Historically, you just can't. Yeah, she'll put on a good front, but what happens when she gets bored? Or what happens when, because you guys heard me say they had clear boundaries sometimes, right? Most times they have clear boundaries, but you don't know what their intentions are. Traditional relationships are shaped around intent. That's one of the significant differences between these two types of relationships. And intentions are what creates space for healthy relationships. So, if a person's intentions are pure, so they say, the outcomes of the relationships are equally pure and they manifest greatness. I have no idea which one you guys will choose, but what I will say is that the media, social media, reality TV, and all those things, the picture painted and the picture depicted for the vast majority of melanated folks and their relationships is one of greed around finances, not wealth, but greed. As a result, human beings who are observing these people and shaping their ideals around what those people put out as far as the content and what they see, those people are being misled. And their goals are unrealistic as a result of that. And what happens is when you have unrealistic goals and you're engulfed in a society where everybody's trying to meet the whole, what does they say? The Johnsons, keeping up with the Kardashians, maybe. When someone is trying to meet those level of standards in life and they are not realistic and those goals aren't shaped around modeling behavior that you grow up with or exposed to directly, because there is a difference when you have that direct exposure from your grandparents and your parents and your uncles and the environmental exposures that you're exposed to directly, right? You can ask those people, and those people can school you as to how it is it came about with these belief systems and how it is that you can attain the same level of success that you see in them. When you're glorifying what you see on TV, these people on social media, you do not have a chance to align yourself with a purpose that's realistic, and that's why those relationships fail. Hey, Mr. Brooks, how are you? So what I will say is that even though the modern day relationship is very much built around escort types of women, hot girls, city girls. What's the other one? I can't think of. I'm sorry, you guys. I can't think of what that girl says, but yeah, Blue Diamond. I think that's her name. Um, but once these things, says thrift store people want to be billionaires at 18. Exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, those goals are unrealistic simply because they're not, you you want things that you not only not have been exposed to, but you don't have anybody in your corner to teach you the pragmatics of those things that you desire, and you don't have anybody to constantly model that behavior and what the outcome looks like for you, so you know what to avoid on your own based on your own observations. And that's, I think, what's missing when we're determining goals from people you see on social media or people that you see in the limelight, public figures, or people that are content creators like Kevin Samuels and Cynthia G and those folks. Yeah, they're making $1 off your clicks or whatever, but what are their lives really entailing? What do they really look like? And I think that we see a little bit of this stuff like I said, when we start to dissect some of the chaos that's happening around these people's lives in the media, when the news gets a hold of it and they've killed each other or you know other things. What's that girl who faked her own suicide? She YouTube creator a couple of years back. Sansa Ray. Sansa Ray.
Mm.
And that's just a mess. And I knew of her personally. We have a mutual acquaintance, I guess you could say. But it's yeah, it's just way too much. It's just way too much. I think people need to be realistic when they are, determining what it is that dating goals look like and life goals, even. But anyway, traditional alignments are alignments where people want to be in a relationship based off of the intentions of the person. And typically we have love, you know, as a centralized theme. Sometimes it's based off of love or affect and commitment versus providing and protecting. Okay. The affect and commitment being on the woman's side and the providing and protecting part being on the man's side. Does that mean that traditional relationships were geared up in a way where men were allowed to cheat? I think that raises a great question. It says here in Florida, I notice it's more in second generation. What the desire to be in the escort types of relationships or Kevin Samuels types of relationship, modern day or traditional? But so, you know, um, escort relationships typically is about the exchange of sex or dates, appearances, you know, if you will, for money. It's similar. You know, think
Oh,
calling a thing a thing, calling a thing a thing. The women have been pimped out for ages, literally. But so, you know, what can I say? What are you guys into? What do you guys think about escort relationships? And I want to highlight that, you know, a lot of times what goes under the radar is the violence against sex workers. And I feel a way about that. Like I do. The violence and homicides against sex workers have always been a huge proponent since like 1990. Okay. I mean, these people die more often than regular folks die as a result of relationships gone wrong. And I've been kind of diving deeply into that because I feel like that's something that needs to be talked about because I feel like oftentimes people don't understand just because you're a mail order bride like doesn't mean that you're without emotions, thoughts, feelings, reflections or divestment. You sometimes want to leave your husband and if you want to leave your husband, you should be able to do so. Now, what I have not been able to find is any male escorts who were killed as a result of trying to leave their husbands or wives. Now, hear me out. Happens on both sides of the spectrum. I have seen several male escorts who were murdered in California. Remember, there was this whole killing spree thing. You know how many of you guys follow this stuff? But yeah, it was a whole killing spree that led up. I think it maybe ended in like the last thing we hear about another person being killed is like 2010 or 11. But um, they were killing a lot of male escorts and then stashing the body in like the desert and stuff like that from California to Arizona, Texas, or something. But yeah, let's read this comment. Mr. Brooks says escort relationships is the new thing because most women don't know how to act when a man treats them nice or good. They love money for play. I think that's a fair assessment. What do you think?
yeah, depends on the individual who we meet. Yeah, for the most part.
But think about it.
Yeah.
Like when I say there is a lot of symmetry between traditional relationships and courtship and escort relationships or modern day relationships, when I say that there is a tremendous amount of symmetry, people, there is a tremendous amount of symmetry. We could say they're one and the same almost. It's just that we labeled it now. Just saying. Because think about it, in traditional courtship, a man is meant to court a woman with nice things, nice gestures, nice gifts. You know, he's meant to do those things, and that's what women respond to. Even the first date, you know, finish American. I expect a date of a gift of appeasement on the first date. If you don't give it to me, I'm not giving you a second date. But no, seriously, shit's the same. But anyway, there's that part, right? When you look at it, men are always considered to be some level of a cash cow or a guy that guys are expected to provide, and women are expected to give the man sex. And I find it to be so interesting because the science behind the human sexual desire, the science, like when we go in and we do conduct the neuroscience and trials and studies and things like that of your brains, it tells us that women are actually desiring sex more than men throughout the course of a lifespan. What's wrong with the picture? So men are been paying historically paying for something that the woman has absolutely no problem with providing typically. Because she's wanting it too. Particularly, I mean, possibly more than you. That's weird. Women are winning. We're winning, you guys. What can I say? What can I say? I don't know. You men just don't realize it. So nowadays, a trip or vacation in the first 2 months is the most women are ending relationships behind it. I agree. I agree. And here's the other thing, okay? That's how a lot of escorts are ending up dead. Just saying. I'm just saying. Do you guys remember that one escort from Russia in the Blake Label case? I don't know, or is it Blake LaBelle? Do you guys remember her? I think her name was Lana. They had a baby together. God, it just broke my heart. Um, it was right before COVID really took off. I think he killed her in like 2017 ish. It was just terrible. And her mother was here, didn't speak a lot of English, and she knew that she was in the place. And the freaking cops out there in Hollywood, like, personally, I think he killed her in between the time that the cops showed up the first time and refused to even make him open the door, right? And the second day after she called him out to her house, her apartment. Man, still to this day, that's terrible. So Blake Label, just gonna give you guys kind of like an overall synopsis of what happened. He was the guy that was the graphic novelist. He wrote comic books for adults, you know. And yeah, that. And a lot of folks say that based off of the positioning of the body and the crime scene and the way he killed her and the way he tried to clean things up and stuff like that, like people say he friggin' wrote out what he would do before he even did it. And he was married to a totally different woman when he met this girl who was the Russian escort chick and wanted to marry her. So he married her, took her out of the escort life, and ended up cheating on her with another woman because obviously the dude got problems with keeping his stuff in his pants, but whatever. And getting a separate condo and stuff like that right down the street for the mistress. And the mistress contacted the wife, the first wife, not Lana, right? And was like, hey, did you know, by the way, like he's living with this woman and he's had a baby with her and he's engaged to her, but he's still married to you, by the way. Ding, ding, ding. But yeah, like this stuff really happened. And I think the baby was like 3 weeks old, you guys. It was just so terrible. So terrible. Her mom came and was supposed to be helping out with the baby because he really wanted her mom to, take the baby so that she could give him sex 3 weeks after having a baby. Friggin' pig. But, um, yeah, her mom came and then she saw this as a time for her to be able to escape. And so she left with her mom. And then, like, next day, I think they said that she was like texting him, he was texting her, and her mom noticed a shift in a move, and they're out in the department stores and stuff like that, shopping for a stroller or something. And she all of a sudden said that she was going to have a date with him, went on a date with him, and stopped answering her phone all day, all evening. And when her mom went to the police, they went by there to do a wellness check. And when he refused to show her that she was okay, they actually left. They were like, there's no crime committed because she hadn't been gone long enough. He freaking killed her. He killed her that night. And they came back the next day and she was bled out, skinned. I think he took her ear off or something like that, scalped her and took a brow off too. He was a millionaire. Like that boy. It just makes you think differently about men. Anyway, I mean, it was interesting to me that when the police came and stuff like that, his response to them, he was like, "Oh, she's dead? Huh." He had staged her and bled her out. Like she had less than a teaspoon of blood in her body. These are things that this dude did. And he had wiped up all the blood. It was just so much. So much. Says, yes, they had a girl recently in Miami that was flown out because she wouldn't sleep with a group of guys. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just crazy. It's the magnitude of the efforts that sometimes these guys go through when it's an escort woman. I don't know if you guys realize that, but those are the worst crimes ever. It's always the women that are there. Do you guys think that it's because men think that a woman that's a sex worker or a man that's a sex worker is a less valuable human being than other people? Like, it's extremely, if you are a sex worker, I want you guys to know that it's extremely dangerous out here in these streets for you. It is, because it's just too much. It's too much. It is. Anyway, there's that part, right? So I want to know how you guys feel about escort types of relationships, which would kind of translate to modern day relationships in the mindsets of people, young people, older people, people that are dating in the now society, and traditional relationships, and how those alignments start, what the courtship looks like, which is very similar. I've noted that. If you guys disagree, let me know you disagree. And I want to know how you guys feel like those types and the expectations that we have as a result of seeing these people living their lives in the limelight. Like, how do you guys think all of this aligns with the increase of the homicide and suicide rates? Like, do you feel like because so much of this is glorified on TV, on social media, you got Kevin Samuels telling people you have zero value basically if you don't make six figures, you don't look a certain way, if you don't put out enough sex and have zero kids, if you're a woman. And what's the other one? Oh, height, weight index for women. Yeah, dress size. I don't think that he ostracizes the shoe size. I don't know. But personally, as a woman, I think that's important. Yeah. Whatever. Maybe that's one of those things that women amongst women talk about and they hope for, but men don't consider. It says, whenever a girl come on to my fat self, my first question is how much nowadays? Oh, come on to your fat self. Why? I can't.
I really
I
think
can't.
that's his thing.
Uh-huh.
When you're a male,
Yeah.
when you get 50 and older, that's your way. When you
Uh,
become 50,
Mr. Brooks isn't 50.
I mean, it's that thing is way to be a 50 thing. It's a different phases.
Ah, so the producer says that the similar issues that men face when they're fat are the similar issues that men face when they're 50 and over.
Is how much? Because who can be interested in your what
You
you
think
call,
50 is old?
no, I'm just saying, your high value starts to decline at that point where your interest level in the people of the sex is not as great without some money attachment. Well, you ain't it no more because they went to
Huh.
35, 40 people. You get 50, the life treats you a little different, better than women.
So, is that true? Do you guys feel like at age 50 or when men reach a certain weight, women treat you guys different? Is that what y'all think? Like, really?
Yeah, yeah,
Huh. I
yeah.
mean, I have been told several times over, and this is self-disclosure, you guys. I have been told several times over when people are talking about the whole Kevin Samuels rhetoric and things like that. Like, I've been told by a lot of folks, like, women should be at a certain weight and height. And Kevin Samuels is so right because other women who are outside of that dynamic they don't get high value men. And they deem these high value men based off of the amount of money they make and their socioeconomic status. So where they are based on how much they're making and how they're regarded by their peers. Now, I'm going to say this, you guys. For the vast majority of my life, well over 30 years, I have always been very thin. Recent years, like the last 4 years, I have been on a weight gain journey. And I'm going to be honest. Gonna be honest. I've always dated guys who were fairly wealthy, financially set, no money problems whatsoever. None whatsoever. To include marriage, okay? I've never had a problem when I was thin. And I'm just going to be honest, my options expanded when I gained a little bit of weight. Like, boy, listen, like you got everybody after you, literally in every market, every age group, you can get anybody you want. So I'm not gonna say. I think it depends on where your weight is, and I think it depends on maybe what you look like. I don't know, but I don't believe that stuff. I don't believe it. Don't believe any of it, and I refuse to believe that I'm an anomaly because it's just not true. It's just not true. So Mr. Brooks agrees with you.
It's really true. That's true. I've experienced that myself. Your day market favorite value go down at 50.
Wow. He said when they see the bins, he look good then. But you know what? I've always thought that women, for the vast majority, even in the old school traditional relationships, women equate a man with a nice car as goals. That's just been the thing. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I personally, I look at a man with a nice car as a man with more overhead than financial flexibility to spend on me.
That's them all the money that I spent on you.
You know, like those are my thoughts.
No matter how
Those are my
that's why
thoughts.
I don't on my car. I don't have a big old fat car. I don't
You
have
know,
on my wife.
I just, just, hmm. Says, but other ethics look like they fit. But in the black community, you got bookworms wanting the bad boy. And clarify for me what you're saying. I think that the multicultural thing does have something to do with it too, because I think that people like folks that are different than them. But that's from country to country. I've never had an issue. So I don't know. I don't think it's just in the Black community in America. So there's that part. But I think women in general look at the way a man spends his finances. I think that women look at the way a man handles his finances as something that's more attractive, more so than whether or not he's just got money. Um, because I think that those things are important. Mm, you know, either way, let me know what you guys think. Continue to share your thoughts and reflections with me. And thanks so much for, the ones of you that decided to check the show out live today instead of catching it on, replay and stuff like that. And if you're a person who made it to the end of the show and you have caught this on the replay, please let me know that you've done so. I want to again say happy Thursday. And, sorry I can't do the late show with you guys anymore because I got like way too many things going on and too many clients right now. I'm like freaking overwhelmed. And personal life is like a lot. It says, oh, I'm cheap. I put 75% on the pins. See? So no. Mr. Brooks, you would not qualify. But yeah, it's just, hey, this is life. Hopefully you guys, this video resonated with you. And if it resonated, please do hit the like button. Likes, I think, allow you to have more views or the capacity to be viewed over the social media platform. But I feel like this is a video that can be helpful for a lot of folks. If you're a person out there who has a propensity, should I say, to build your goals around what you see happening and unfolding in media, and especially social media influencers and stuff like that, these people that are complete lies on the screen, but they have their personal lives that they're not allowing you to see. Yeah. That was a moment of reflection for you folks, because I'm hoping that at some point there's a moment of clarity that happens for you. And there is some level of emotional maturation that happens as a result of that moment of clarity. And you start to attenuate your senses to and your intentions to things that make more sense in the grand scheme of things. I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense for you to dream big. I want you to dream big and I want you to accomplish great things in life. But I want you to be realistic about what it is that you have the capacity to accomplish based on where you are in life. And then also, the way that you gauge that is when you're sitting through, the possibility of these goals, right? Ask yourself, what are the smaller things that I can do right now in the here and now to move myself one step closer to attaining this goal, right? That's the first thing. And then after you have determined what that thing is, now I want you to go back and reflect on and look at that goal and ask yourself, how many more small things would I need to fit in between this first objective and that overarching goal? And how much time would it take me to even accomplish that first goal, right? And how much time would it take me to get from that first objective to the larger goal, right? And whether or not I've got the kind of time and the kind of attention and the type of commitment that it would take for me to not only reach that goal, because that's the part that's so far distant away from us that we shouldn't even be worrying about that in the immediate space. But more importantly, right? For me to align myself with pragmatic objectives that fit properly in the middle of this one and that one, right? So, a little free therapy for you, okay? And please, 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 I know there are a lot of men who pay for escort services and prostitute services because they are looking for somebody to talk to. And they're just looking for an ear. They're not even looking for sex. Let me encourage you to actually go out and get a therapist, okay? Do the thing that actually helps you to develop more of yourself and become a more congruent person, a more intentional person, and a better version of yourself than you are today in the here and now. And of course, a much better version than you were yesterday, okay? You should only be competing with you. not the rest of the world. Mm-mm. Okay. So that's all I got, you guys. If you are not already subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. If you've not already shared this video, shame on you. Shame on you. Share the freaking content, folks. Like, do that. Help somebody else out, Do that. Says, yep, I would have paid it off, but the financial advisor says, build more credit. I'm buying my first duplex next year. But 75% though, debt to income ratio matters. Just saying. Just saying. I pay for massages. I got dressed. As long as those massages are not ending with a happy ending, I would say that's still not the same. Go out there, live well, be great, and be a positive impact on the world around you, folks. And if you can't find enough positive energy to put into the atmosphere, please, please, please don't find yourself impeding on somebody else's positive energy center with negative energy and drama, okay? That is all that I have. Take care, and I absolutely love you guys. I have missed you, and I'm just going to have to kind of do these shows when I find the time, but I'm going to at least try to be consistent and do at least one show a week, okay? Later days. Bye.
Who alive can't put me in a box. I redefine any definition you got. I am the tiger, I'm making steps to the top. The flames, I rip it up, you just gotta hand me the rock. Take a seat, you cannot stand it. All I know, the flow harder than a Scotch bonnet. Don't try studying me, you cannot manage. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.